Hey, everybody out there in podcast land, welcome to this week's edition of Sports Frenzy 2.0. Doing things a little different this week because of the NFL draft. We're going to try to get this posted at the last possible second, right before the draft. We still want to stick by our guns, and we promise you Thursday. We're going to give you Thursday, new episodes every week. But instead of taping Wednesday night like we normally do, we're going to try to cram everything in here Thursday afternoon, get it out to you right before the draft Thursday night. I am the maestro, Kevin Crane. The conquistador, Dave Height, my partner, my brother from another mother, my best friend, will join me here a little later. But I've got his blessing to start things off here, again, because we're on a compressed schedule. So I'm going to deal with all the controversies of the week. So yes, you're going to get the ranting, raving, lunatic maestro you know and love. So we're going to talk some baseball first and foremost. And I don't know if I can really get mad at the Cubs anymore. I don't know if it's possible for me to scream and yell about them anymore because I'm used to this over the last 2 seasons, 2+. No offense. Ricketts being cheap. The future in limbo because we don't know what's going to happen with Rizzo and Bryant and Baez and Contreras. In this year right now, the Cubs lost again last night to Atlanta. Shut out again. Now they're down to 10-14, dead last in the Central in the National League. I've complained for weeks about the anemic offense. Of course, some people will go, oh, but Chris Bryant's doing great. Chris Bryant is fool's gold. Chris Bryant is one of the first people I would ship out if it gets to the point here in the middle of summer where the Cubs don't look like they're going to make the playoffs. Bryant's the first one out the door. And it's great. I'm glad he's hitting 300. I'm glad he's found his power stroke again after a couple years off. But of course, it's contract year. Shocking now that he's playing well again. He'd be the first one out the door if I was Jed Hoyer. And you probably could get something pretty decent for him right now. So you do want him to be playing well. It's a catch-22. It's a conundrum. So yeah, the Cubs are last in the Central. The Pirates, who everybody thought were probably going to be the worst team in baseball with a payroll of 47 cents, are marginally better than the Cubs right now. Batting average right now, as I'm taping this on the 29th of April, 2021, 203. A team batting average no one would want. Now the Detroit Tigers are starting to flail away as we knew they would. So their offensive numbers are plummeting. So at some point here in the next couple days, the Cubs will probably end up being better than them. But here's the really disturbing thing. As I said, we're used to this with the Cubs over the last couple years. Cub fans, you see Javi Baez swinging at garbage. Chris Bryant looking disinterested. Rizzo looks more intent on getting hit by a pitch than he does actually putting the ball in play. But now that Ricketts decided he didn't want to spend money on this team, now the pitching staff, who he put together, he and Jed Hoyer, in a piecemeal sort of way, 29th out of 30 teams right now in Major League Baseball with a 4.86 ERA. That is not a formula for success. When you're 30th in batting average and 29th in ERA, you pretty much know you're going to suck balls. And I know I stick up for Kyle Hendricks every week, anytime he comes up on this podcast. But maybe he's turning into the Ryan Pace of the Cubs for me. I've mentioned I stuck up for Ryan Pace for years with the Bears. And then the last couple years, finally got tired of it, realized the error of my ways. Maybe I'm going to end up going that way with Kyle Hendricks. I don't know what his problem is this year, but he is getting toasted. And when your number one starter is getting destroyed like Kyle Hendricks is, it's going to skew the numbers, especially when, again, you have a patchwork piecemeal rotation behind him. Zach Davies, the guy we got along with prospects from the Padres for Yu Darvish, has been abysmal. Our latest reclamation project, Trevor Williams, has been decent. Not great, but decent. And after that, then you got Alzolay, who they keep trying to work into the rotation, and it just doesn't seem to be working out. Again, not terrible, but not great. They decide Alec Mills, who threw a new hitter last year, isn't good enough to be in the rotation, so now they've got him pitching long relief, sometimes late inning relief. I don't think he's very confident right now because he doesn't know what his role is, so now he's starting to get beat up. And I have told you, maybe it'll come back and bite me in the ass, and that's fine, but David Ross was the wrong hire for this team. I saw Joe Girardi after Bryce Harper last night got hit in the face with a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and then another guy got plunked after that for the Phillies. Joe Girardi came out and went ballistic. You know why? Because Joe Girardi cares. Joe Girardi's not trying to be everybody's buddy. He's not trying to be everybody's friend like Uncle Ruffy. And it's starting to show with the Cubs. You don't hire the player's best friend from the 2016 World Series championship team to be their manager. Sometimes you need an old curmudgeonly, old school guy. Maybe a former player, maybe not. But I still think Joe Girardi should be the Cubs manager right now. I've been saying that for years. I even said that when Joe Madden was the manager. And we'll get to the Angels another time. But explain to me how, with that talent, with Ohtani healthy, with Mike Trout, with Anthony Rendon, Joe Madden goes in there and they still are mediocre at best. Again, discussion for another time. Like I said, the Conquistador is not with me this week, but he will join me later for the NFL draft coverage that we've got coming for you. But for baseball, he's not with me, so I'm going to really quickly cover his White Sox for you. And again, they're doing okay. They got rained out last night, so they got a doubleheader here today with the miserable Tigers. So you would hope the White Sox could pull off 2 wins today. Right now, they're 12-10, second in the Central in the American League. Surprisingly, 2.5 behind the Kansas City Royals. The best record in baseball percentage-wise, the Royals? I had a feeling coming into the season they weren't going to be terrible. And I think I mentioned that in our baseball preview. Now, I did not expect them to be ahead of the White Sox. I thought the Twins would be ahead of them. And the Twins, boy, I don't know what their problem is, but Kansas City, even percentage-wise, better than the Dodgers now, as the Dodgers have stumbled here a little bit over the last week and a half. All right, on to controversy now. First baseball. Madison Bumgarner of the Diamondbacks. 7 no-hit innings in one of these stupid shortened doubleheaders that we've been subjected to by Rob Manfred over the last couple seasons. Of course, it doesn't count as a no-hitter. It has to be 9 innings or more. So basically what you're doing is you're cheating some of these pitchers out of potential milestone moments in their careers because, with COVID, because we don't want the players to tax themselves. We don't want them to do anything too strenuous. You're taking the NBA mentality is what you're doing, Rob, and guess what? You're going to start losing the old school fans who look like they're the only fans you got left because the younger kids, the younger generation, doesn't give a rat's crap about baseball right now. And then you've got the celebration controversies popped up again now with Fernando Tatis and Trevor Bauer. But Bauer actually took the high road and said he's fine with it. You know, if you knock one out of the park on me, that's on me. You should enjoy it, which is great. Sometimes he can be a jerk. In this case, I think he did the right thing and he said the right thing. That being said, this will happen again down the road, and there'll be a fight. There'll be a benches clearing brawl about this. And I'm on the fence on it. I really am. I don't like players showing up other players, especially in a situation like this, because, you know, the unwritten rules say that the next time that hitter comes up, he's going to get plunked. You know, you don't want to see anybody get hit in the head. Like I said, Bryce Harper just got hit in the face last night. Different situation than what I'm talking about, but still. Throwing pitches at people intentionally or unintentionally, no good. You could lose the stars of your game, suspensions. Both sides are selfish to me. The guy who does the bat flip, selfish. The pitcher who's so upset because he threw a home run ball the time before has to be a baby and throw at the guy the next time up, selfish. But again, this will come up, I guarantee, multiple times over the course of this season. So we'll dive a little deeper into it next time. All right, over to the NBA. Lots of controversy, most of it around my least favorite player of all time, LeBron James. LeBron James has got a mouth off again on social media about a police problem, inciting violence against an Ohio police officer after an incident there. Oh, but he deleted the tweet soon after because he realized he was inciting violence and he was just angry. You're a petulant baby. 5-minute rule. Everybody should take note of the 5-minute rule. Somebody says something to you on social media. You see something in the news. 5-minute break. Calm down before you respond. But baby LeBron doesn't like that. He's got to get out and be angry. Then, of course, you got the Cincinnati bar owner who says he's not going to play the NBA anymore until LeBron is expelled from the league, which, of course, is not going to happen. It's a nice PR move by this guy. But then LeBron's got to jump in on that. Oh, I know, sarcastic. I would have stopped there and watched the game last night. Otherwise, ha ha. Baby! Big baby, LeBron. Put on a diaper. Put on a purple and yellow Lakers diaper and stop being a baby. You know who gets you? You know who gets you? My favorite player of all time. Dr. J, Julius Erving, gets you. You know why? Because somebody asked him recently for his all-time list of the greats in the NBA. Guess who he left off the list? LeBron baby James. Because Dr. J gets it. LeBron, you don't. Go ahead and tweet about Sports Frenzy. Go ahead and do it. You and Kevin Durant, you're a bunch of petulant babies in the NBA. Get over yourselves. You're making more money than God. Start acting mature. But of course, some people still idolize and adore him. News came out this week that his rookie card sold for a record $5.2 million. So more idol worship for you, kids. Speaking of which, check out the weekend edition here coming up where I will rant and rave about the Oscars. Oh, and by the way, we are on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, and Breaker. Possibly on Overcast. I'm still trying to verify that. And we have never mentioned this before on the podcast, but we do have a Facebook page too. We do post our weekly football picks when we're in season. And of course, right now we're posting our weekly NASCAR picks. So check that out. Of course, I love Charles Barkley, but he got himself in some trouble this week. Charles does have a problem with his mouth too. he said the Georgia mascot was named after, quote unquote, the women down there. And of course, he said things about the women in Texas before, too. And I don't want to give him a pass. I know people say it's just Chuck being Chuck. But, Charles has got to watch himself, too. If we're going to rip on the one side like LeBron James, we got to rip on the other side with Charles Barkley. All right, some quick college news here. Just going to touch on these stories real quick here before we take a break, and then we'll bring the Conquistador in for some football and NASCAR. Kind of shocking. We don't usually talk about women's sports here, but women's hoops is usually pretty interesting. We'll talk about it a couple times a year. And now this was really big. 3-time championship head coach Kim Mulkey leaves Baylor for LSU. Like I said, not going to go really in depth on this, but just find it interesting that you would leave a place where you won a title 3 times for your school. So it must be obviously a lot of money involved. I don't know. I might have heard that she's heading back home. I don't know if she's from the LSU area. But just interesting. Just very interesting for somebody like that to leave a program where they've had so much success. Now, of course, there's controversy here, too. NCAA President Mark Emmert got a contract extension through 2025, and I view Emmert like people view Roger Goodell. I've stuck up for Roger Goodell. I thought he's done a great job with the NFL. Many people hate him, don't like him. I think Emmert's just in a bad spot. It's got to be so hard to legislate the NCAA, the fractured mess that it is. That's all I'm going to say about it. He's now there through 2025 unless he steps down at some point. I think you just got to take it, just like in the NFL with Roger Goodell. You just got to take it. I think the guy's doing the best he can with a monstrosity. The NFL is a monstrosity. The NCAA is a monstrosity. Got to be very hard to keep track of all the moving parts. All right, and finally, probably talk about this more in the weeks to come, but LSU, the problems there keep snowballing. The only question I have here, we know Les Miles is involved at some point around 2013 and before with inappropriate behavior towards women. Now there's a class action lawsuit filed against the school, but the dates I see are 2013 to 2021, allegations of sexual assault and harassment. Darius Geis, former running back, is involved in that. But wouldn't that come under Ed Orgeron's watch? Miles was gone for almost all of that time period, right? So why aren't I seeing Ed Orgeron's name pop up in any of this? So something to keep your eye on, kids. All right, got a promo coming. Like I said, Conquistador joins me after that for NFL Draft Preview, Sports Frenzy 2.0, April the 29th. We'll be right back. Greetings and salutations, thrill seekers and podcast lovers. I'm the maestro, Kevin Crane.
And I'm the Conquistador, Dave Height.
And if you have the same love-hate relationship that we have with sports, you absolutely need to join the Sports Frenzy Army. Apologies to Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. New episodes drop every Thursday morning on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, and Breaker. Come on in and drink the non-PC Kool-Aid. And as our friend Tony Montana was heard to say with his dying breath,
say hello to my little friends at Sports Frenzy. Hey, you Denzians of the sports world. Welcome back to segment 2 of Sports Frenzy 2.0. I'm the Conquistador, Dave Height.
I'm the maestro, Kevin Crane. I told you I was bringing him back. I told you.
And what do we have for you?
Hockey.
Ice cold hockey news for you. We're going to get started with some news out of the Blackhawks, who, with their loss the other night, have pretty much knocked themselves out of the playoffs with their poor defense. Not surprising. That's what I've been railing about for weeks now. But the sad news, Andrew Shaw has retired because of concussion issues. He missed most of last season and a lot of this season trying to deal with it. And good for him for putting his health first. Solid player, helped the Hawks win 2 cups. The ultimate instigator, the guy you hated to play against, but you loved having him on your team. Gonna miss having Shaw's year round. Some upbeat news. Jonathan Taze reports are he's approaching full recovery from whatever. We still don't know what he suffered from during this season, but he's expected to be ready for training camp and the start of next season. Sorely missed this year on the faceoffs. The Hawks have had their worst faceoff win percentage in years, primarily because they didn't have their captain, who could consistently win about 60%. Other news, they signed Stillman to a 3-year extension. It's a Bowman deal. We'll see how it works. Y'all know I'm not his biggest fan, so there you go.
Yeah, when I told you about that, you kind of looked at me and said, why do I care?
Yeah, we'll see.
I thought I was actually getting a scoop on the Blackhawks for the Conquistador, and he looked at me and said, yeah, whatever.
We'll see. It's a rebuilding process right now. We'll see who pans out, who doesn't. But speaking of playoffs, border issues because of COVID could be rearing their ugly head as the playoffs begin. All the Canadian teams playing in the North Division, should be fine with their part of the playoffs, finding out who the North champ is going to be. But when it comes time getting deeper rounds, will they be able to come back and forth between the U.S. and Canada for the series? NHL is negotiating with the Canadian government, but they're really rigid on what their restrictions are going to be. So if that breaks down, the winner of the North may have to relocate to a U.S. city for the duration of their playoff run. So we'll have to see what happens there. But at least they have a couple of options out there.
Now, what about the TV deal? The second part of the TV deal
Part
dropped this
2,
week.
the TNT HBO Max streaming possible version has come through in addition to the ESPN Plus Hulu streaming crap debacle. Oh my God.
It's coming. Pay-per-view is coming. We've talked about this for 20 years, and that's finally coming. We hear Paramount Plus. We hear HBO Max. We hear Peacock. They're trying to make us pay for our sports now.
We pay already on cable. Why do we have to pay more on top of this crap?
We have to revolt.
It's ridiculous.
Revolt. Revolution.
Now, that being said, streaming, you shouldn't have to deal with the commercials, right? Bullshit. This is how they have to pay. You're going to have your commercials to pay for all of this.
Unless you pay for the upper tier.
But
no
still,
commercial but that's how they're going to make their money.
That's what you have to have on the sports to pay for it are the advertisements.
Right.
So you're not getting around it. Ooh, wow. We may get extra content and coverage from ESPN. Whoop-de-frickin-do. It's going to be good for, I guess, more national coverage. More people might be able to watch more games.
Yes, it will be. It will be.
But for the love of God and all that's holy, any championship should be on network TV.
But we've talked about this. It's not the way it is anymore. ESPN has bitched up the works where they have taken over the college football championship.
Yeah. And here you're moving the Stanley Cups. It's going to alternate between ABC and TNT every other year. Lottie frickin' da. I just am waiting to find out the fallout for our local and regional coverage, how that's all going to be impacted.
I just want to know, as a marketing major, how this makes sense. As a business model, I don't think it makes sense. I've never thought it made sense.
Hadn't ESPN learned nothing from the NBA?
Type of guy. Oh, what? No, the NBA is awesome, right? Wait till, as you and I have both said, Wait until this current deal ends. And then the fallout kicks in.
Yeah.
And the NBA will plummet in
crashing
rating,
back down.
plummet in revenue. I think this NHL deal is good to a point, but I agree with you. I do not want to see championship level games moving to, I agree, pay TV is what it is. And you don't tell me, it's not pay-per-view. You still have to pay to get ESPN.
You're paying extra
you still have to pay to get TNT and TBS. You don't get them over the air.
And now
they are pay TV.
Yeah, and now you're going to have to pay more for Hulu, more for ESPN Plus, more for HBO Max.
Wait until the rates go up.
Everything is going up, up, up. They're going to jack everything up to pay for this thing.
And wait, now we got NASCAR. Now we're going to talk about NASCAR. And, of course, we've talked about the fact that the NBC Sports Network is going away after this year. I still have not heard how is this going to affect NASCAR in the coming years.
Yeah, we don't know.
Are you going to put it on Peacock Premium? Because, again, it wouldn't shock me if they screwed us all and did that.
No, it wouldn't at all because, Fox is supposed to have it. Well, they put it on.
Fox should have the damn season. Fox should have all the races, the entire season, and the playoffs. They cover the races.
But still, you have to go to FX1 for a lot of it.
And I understand that is still pay TV. But at the same time, I would rather be able to just go to basic cable and see them on FS1 than all this crap about now NBC, we have to go to Peacock Premium to watch the last half of the season.
I don't want to stream. Not everything has to be streaming, people.
I just wish these... I'll tell you another thing that pisses me off. Stop fracturing your coverage.
Oh, my God. Stick with
this
one...
This is what I'm saying. Let Fox have the entire NASCAR season. Fox covers NASCAR better than anybody ever has. Maybe
yes, they do.
You could go back to NBC maybe 30 years ago. And a lot of hockey fans I know are upset because they loved NBC's coverage.
Oh, NBC had the best national guys going.
But if NBC's going to bail and they're going to get rid of NBCSN,
so what are the new guys going to bring back Eddie Olczyk? Are they going to bring in Albert? Are they going to bring in Pierre Maguire? Are they going to bring in Brian Boucher?
Sean
and all
Avery,
the studio,
that nut job.
Yeah, bring in all the studio people.
Yeah.
They had a good thing going.
Well, I remember when all the shifting went back and forth with NASCAR, Rusty Wallace got kicked to the curb.
Yeah.
They didn't want him anymore. Now, it's worked. Again, Fox knows what they're doing with Jeff Gordon. Did not think he was going to be good. He's good.
Actually been better than I thought.
Boyer's been great.
Boyer's awesome.
I want those guys doing the races the whole damn year.
And Mike Joy is probably one of the best racing analysts.
He keeps them in check.
Yeah, he's good.
He wrangles them in.
He has been doing racing since the late 70s. The guy knows his stuff.
That's exactly right. So now we move on to our picks for this weekend's race, the Bushy McBush.
Insert your own Bush jokes here.
We would never, ever make any kind of off-color, untoward.
We only had about a
sexual
dozen
joke.
We only bannered about a dozen of them leading up to this.
But this was a fan pick.
They got to vote on the name of it.
You get what you get. So we're going to give you our picks in just a second. We have to look back last week, though, to Talladega.
And wound up with Logano crying like a bitch.
I still think they all cry like that.
There's the rare...
Anybody who gets wrecked at a super speedway whines and cries about the racing. But when they win, they think it's the greatest thing in the world.
Yep, they do. And inevitably, the ones who cry most about getting wrecked have caused major wrecks themselves.
Yeah, I think Logano, from what I saw, just should have stayed where he was.
He tried to throw a block.
He and Hamlin got into it. So, And
That's
that
what
was
you
my
have.
pick. Yeah, I'm biting the bullet here. My pick. Bad pick. But Keselowski wins.
He got the lucky. He was the
So
lucky
now we're
one.
what? We're not 10 for 11 unique
Yeah.
winners. Ugh. I don't think we're going to get to the 16, the magic number, but it's starting to get interesting.
It's getting closer.
Yeah. Couple rumors before we get to our Kansas City picks. Bristol. They're talking about putting a roof on Bristol again.
God, just let it die. Let it die. Leave Thunder Valley as it is.
And the iRacing circuit goes in early June to a virtual Chicago street race. But NASCAR says they might actually put a Cup Series race in Chicago on the loop.
I'm intrigued by this. Seeing them flying down the lakeshore drive along the lake, that would be really cool. Running through the tunnel on Lower Wacker would be kind of neat. See what they can incorporate.
This might be the one time.
Maybe you have the drawbridge kind of partially up and get a little air going. That would be fun.
I watched the iRacing last year because we had nothing else to do. So I did watch. Now, this one would be the one iRacing event this year where I might actually watch it.
I would be tempted to see what the layout would be.
Exactly.
It's got potential. I kind of like that one.
All right, for our picks for the Kansas race coming up here on May the 2nd, the 11th race of the NASCAR Cup season. You and Mrs. C have both taken Kyle Larson.
Yes. Going that route.
All right. I have got Kevin Harvick.
You got a 3-way on Harvick, don't you?
Don't say that, especially when the race is called Bushy McBush. Too much sexual innuendo. The elder statesman and the big blue W and I take Kevin Harvick. Nick the juggler takes Chase Elliott. Doug getting his pick in at the last possible second. The governor takes the pole sitter, which again, I can't stand this formula crap.
It's ridiculous.
Rewarding the winner of the last race with the pole.
No.
So he takes Brad Keselowski, and Aaron, the Big Easy, takes Denny Hamlin. So there you go, kids. There are our picks for this upcoming weekend's race at Kansas City. We'll be right back in a second. Hey there, kids. The Sports Frenzy 2.0 podcast is now available on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Casts, and Breaker. New episodes drop every Thursday. I'm the maestro, Kevin Crane, and along with the conquistador, Dave Height, we'll pass along our unique takes on the world of sports, along with the usual maniacal ranting and raving you've come to expect from us over the years. And don't forget to check out new episodes of our weekend edition every Saturday morning exclusively on Spotify and Anchor. Movie reviews, television and streaming news, and of course, two hard rock fossils trying to save the music we love. As JJ Jimmy Walker would say, it's dynamite! Hey everybody, welcome back to Sports Frenzy 2.0. I am the maestro, Kevin Crane. It's me solo again. Got to do a couple apologies here for you. Number one, a correction. In the last segment, I said Brad Keselowski winning at Talladega gave us 10 unique winners in 11 races. That is incorrect. This weekend's Kansas race is the 11th race, so we're 9 for 10 when it comes to unique winners so far in the 2021 NASCAR Cup season. So I apologize for that. Must have been the beer, because I do like to have a couple adult beverages when we're doing this to have some fun. That's why it's Sports Frenzy. It's a party, kids. Now, second off, apologies here again. As I noted, I'm solo on the third segment here this week. We've had major technical difficulties getting our podcast up and running this week, especially the sports segment. The weekend edition came through okay after some patience and some work. So enjoy that this weekend. We got a bunch of movie reviews for you. That'll hit Saturday morning. And like I said, that one ended up coming through okay. But this actual normal sports-focused Sports Frenzy episode has been a mess. The first segment was taped early afternoon on the 29th of April. Then the second segment where I got the Conquistador in was right before the NFL draft round 1 on the 29th. And now on the 30th, I am taping solo again to get you through this last segment and wrap things up for the week. So once again, apologies all around. Could be my equipment, no pun intended. But, might be time to get a new laptop, might be time to get a new computer. Because, as I mentioned, lots of headaches, lots of difficulties this week. But we'll get through it. I'll get you through this last segment. Not going to talk too much about the draft. As I mentioned, this whole week has been just all messed up for us. Usually we're taping on Wednesday nights, posting our episodes first thing Thursday morning. We're a day late here, so I'll get this up here in a little bit on Friday, the 30th of April. So, surprise, surprise, we know what happened in the first round since we ended up having all these issues. So, real quick, I'll cover the highlights. I'm not going to get in depth on it. I'm going to save that for next week so the Conquistador and I can go in depth. We did not even expect to be talking about the first round in terms of what happened. We were going to give you a preview, and again, things got messed up. So anyway, the Bears made the big, bold move that Dave and I have been saying for weeks was probably coming because Ryan Pace, his job's on the line. So we just had a feeling there was something coming. They weren't going to sit there at 20. They weren't going to stand pat, and they did not. We saw the screen change when the Giants pick at 11 popped up, and then the logo changed, and it became the Bears. I was having an aneurysm. Dave and I were both on the edge of our seats. We got to watch the draft, by the way, with one of our panel members, one of the original Sports Frenzy panel members, the Elder Statesman. So got to see his Lions pick before that. Great solid pick for them. They got their left tackle for, I would say, for at least the next 10 years in Sewell from Oregon. Would have loved to have had him with the Bears, but we were too far back. Never going to make that happen. Ryan Pace, of course, could have given away 5 first-round picks to move up because he likes to do that. But anyway, so at 11, the Bears get their quarterback again. This time it's Justin Fields from Ohio State. If you listened the last week or two, when we kind of touched on what was coming with the draft, I think you got the feeling from Dave and I that we both liked Fields more than most. Probably the second best of the big 5, in our opinion, after Trevor Lawrence. Now he ends up being the 4th quarterback taken in the first round. You would think I'd be more enthusiastic. You would think I'd be bouncing off the walls, happy-go-lucky. Same with the Conquistador. We're taking this one very cautiously as longtime Bears fans. Very cautious about this because we've been burned with Cutler. We've been burned with Trubisky. So I'm not gonna fall for this again. I'm gonna have to see multiple years of solid production from Fields before I start looking to buy a jersey. Let's put it that way. Again, I'm going to hold off. I'll let the Conquistador talk about his Dolphins. We'll go in depth. Obviously Trevor Lawrence goes number 1 to the Jaguars. And then Zach Wilson goes number 2 to the Jets. But again, I'm going to hold off on that. We weren't even supposed to be talking about this week. This is saving it for next week. This was what it was supposed to be, the original plan. So next week's podcast, we'll do the deep dive into what happened in the entire draft. Of course, you've got more rounds coming here the next couple days. Tonight, we get to see what the Bears do with their second round pick. Hopefully it doesn't get traded away for a basket of garlic biscuits or something. Some sad news on the Bears front. Steve Mongo McMichael obviously legendary Bears player from that championship team in the mid-'80s, has been diagnosed with ALS, so our thoughts and prayers go out to him. And going to jump ahead a little bit on the moments of silence. Geno Hayes, 33 years old, former Bears linebacker and Buccaneers linebacker, passed away. So, again, thoughts and prayers go out to his family. And, of course, the tragic story of Terrence Clark, the 19-year-old Kentucky basketball player who had just declared for the NBA draft, dies in a car crash. Just, we can sit there, as we have on Sports Frenzy over the years, and we can trash athletes and give them a hard time, as I did earlier about LeBron James. No regrets there. But when something like this happens, it's going to sound cliche, but obviously it puts things in perspective. And, we're sitting here with our little rants and our ravings and our screaming and yelling and our adult beverages and having a good time. But when you see something like this, a 19-year-old kid with the potential to be an NBA star, or at least an NBA draft pick, and get enough money just from that to sustain himself and his family probably for the rest of his life, if he is halfway rational and sane about what he does with his money, and it gets taken away in something tragic like a car accident. Again, thoughts and prayers there. We've got dumbasses for you, kids. Unfortunately, like I said, Dave's not here. I knew going in who his dumbasses were going to be, but I'll save those. I'll let him, if he wants to use them next week. Again, he was with me on this segment originally until things, turned into a massive clusterfuck. So, you get my dumbasses. Number one, the couple who brought a therapy bunny recently to a San Francisco Giants game. And this was a big freaking rabbit, okay? It was bigger than a lot of dogs. But again, it's another one of those things like Megan Rapinoe and her purple hair. This is something people do to gain attention for themselves. This bunny was not having a good time sitting out in the stands at a Giants game, okay? It's kind of cruel to do this to an animal. Especially, a dog maybe. Some of these parks are dog friendly. I get it. The dog gets to run around, get some fresh air. The bunny, I don't think, is going to have that kind of fun. Anyway, garner attention for themselves. That's all these people are trying to do. And then, of course, there's a shot where the bunny almost gets hit with a ball. So again, I don't think the bunny was having a good time. So here's an idea. Keep your therapy bunnies at home. So says the maestro. And then here we go with the big rant for the dumbasses of the week. Max Kellerman. Can't stand Max Kellerman. Hate Max Kellerman. He's a moron. He's a bozo. ESPN got rid of him, and then they brought him back. I know he's doing boxing for a while. But I've never heard anybody who just has the worst, most ignorant takes in the sports world like Max Kellerman. And now, right before the NFL draft, he has to come out and make it a racial thing. He has to come out and say, I don't understand why there's so many white quarterbacks that are being focused on in this draft. Last time I checked, bozo Max, there were 5 top-level QBs, as we saw last night, that got drafted in the first round, in the first half of the first round, actually. Last time I checked, 2 of the 5 were African Americans. I don't think those numbers, 40%, bear out a racism accusation like you were implying the other day. Stop trying to make the news. Stop trying to make controversy. I know people are going to say, that's what they're there for, Kev. That's what they do. That's what you do. But I call out the stupidity and the hypocrisy. So does the conquistador. These are the guys that create the stupidity and the hypocrisy. Little different. So there you go, kids. Once again, apologies. This has just been a mess of a week, a mess of an episode. Still, in the end, I think it's going to be 99.9 times better than any of the major sports media crap you subject yourself to do on a daily basis. So, for my absent brother from another mother, the conquistador Dave Height, I am the maestro Kevin Crane. We will see you next week, and you'll hear us on Sports Frenzy 2.0, the podcast. New episodes drop normally every Thursday, except for this week. And then don't forget to check out the weekend edition, movie reviews, music news, streaming, television, updates. Those episodes drop exclusively on Spotify and Anchor because there is music involved. And those drop every Saturday morning. So take care of yourself, kids. We'll have our big blowout draft recap next week. See you later.